Alright people, gather around the campfire here, bring your marshmallows, and prepare your souls, because the biggest of an F1 YouTuber is back in the prediction game. If I'm completely honest, last year did not pan out very well, but it did give you lot a passport to laugh at me, as my predictions slowly melted as the season went on. Will this year be any different? I mean, I hope so. I want to restore whatever credibility I had back into the channel. May as well rip the band-aid off and get into it. May as well go in ascending order this time. And that would mean starting off at Williams, a team that should be nowhere near last on that grid, but just has been for the last few years. This year should be a little bit different though, promising feedback regarding the new car, new personnel from the formidable Mercedes outfit, and most of all, they've shafted the GOAT, the King, the one and only Nicholas Latifi. With him gone, Williams have brought in the first full-time American driver since the mid-2000s. They've brought in Logan Sargent, and some people probably are not expecting a lot from this kid, especially when up against the likes of Alex Albon, and hey, fair enough. Alexander did perform some minor miracles last year, and he does deserve a degree of praise. And let us not forget that he was a world karting champion. He's always had speed, but Sargent was also a world karting champion. Williams have two competent drivers, and I'm expecting that, at some points during the season at least, Logan Hunter will exceed the expectations put upon him. Or perhaps I've just cursed this dude's career, and I'll soon be blindfolded in a shipping container in Florida having my fingernails pulled out. But at least the pain won't be as great as what McLaren will experience this year. Yeah, the team's steeped in history, and with two amazeballs drivers at the helm, Zach Brown's attempt to bring this team up from the ashes will hit a snag this year. But not the good type of snag, with some teams expected to do better. Someone's gonna bite the dust, and I know it's easier to say given preseason testing has just occurred and McLaren are looking to be drowning horribly. But even though the vast majority of these predictions were made before testing, it is a little hard to ignore. McLaren can't even be optimistic. They're already up to the fourth stage of grief, so yeah, they're screwed. Where exactly they'll be in the pecking order in the battle of the mid is not so certain, but at least the inter-team battle will be interesting. With the introduction of Oscar Piastri into the fold, one wonders how he'll stack up against Mr. Lando Norris, the darling of stands and bold men everywhere. Personally, I don't think he'll beat him, but the battle will be close, and closer than it ever was with Daniel Ricciardo, I think. As for the drowning department, you might be able to throw AlphaTauri into that mix as well, but that likely won't even be the biggest story in that team. Nick de Vries comes into the team as a 28-year-old not rookie, and naturally, he'll be eager to make sure that he stays in Formula 1 after having taken so long to get here. He'll be up against Yuki Tsunoda, who's entering his third year in that team, and in that team, that normally means that it's make or break for him. Drivers in this team rarely stay longer than 3 years, even if they're not doing anything especially wrong. And if Liam Lawson kills it in Super Formula over in Japan, Dr. Helmut Marko may initiate a swapsies by the end of the year, maybe even before that. After all, mid-season swaps aren't unheard of when it comes to the squad. As for the likes of Haas and Alfa Romeo, expect slightly better things this year, but not so apparent that they'll be fighting for the World Championship, put it that way. I'm not holding out too much hope either for the Hulk to get his maiden podium in what is his 39th season of Formula 1. What's more, one of those Alfa Romeo drivers will be gone by the end of the year to make way for Théo Pourchaire. Just like it was meant to happen last year. Aston Martin, meanwhile, you would imagine, will take a step forward. Again, preseason testing, it's real easy for me to say this, but with the arrival of Fernando Alonso to that team, as well as the major investment from Big Daddy finally paying dividends, this is something that they honestly can't screw up. It is quite easy to work out what the potential of a particular Formula 1 car is. Put this guy behind the wheel. Maybe, just maybe, the Lord of the Eyebrows has made the right move this time. The inter-team battle between he and Lance Stroll won't really be much of a competition. But despite my reckoning that Alonso will get the lion's share of amazing results, it won't be he that will take Aston Martin's first Grand Prix win. That honour will instead go to Sir Lancelot, who will take the checkered flag in Monza to win his first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix. Just like he was meant to last year, and the year before that. And the year before that. Hey, at some point I'm bound to be correct. This year, he will win that race. This year, he will great. But at least I predict no trouble in that team. As for Alpine, however, I mean, you've got a French driver and another French driver at a French team with a French engine. It's a violently French combo that should work, but almost never does in the sport, and often leads to friction and marriage counseling 5 to 6 rounds before season's end. This doesn't mean to say that the team will drown, but at some point, these two will get in the way of each other. and they'll respond in kind. Not to mention too Esteban Ocon's tumultuous history with his teammates. So as we whittle down these teams, we eventually arrive at the big three that we'll all be looking at with vested interest: Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. Let's start with the Totonatus team, shall we? Last year wasn't so brilliant. But with a team like this, they're not going to stay down for very long. They've brought back the black livery, which, while is totally a weight-saving measure, the sight of which, with Sir Lewis Hamilton behind the wheel, oh boy, that's scary. Of course, what would make it properly scary is if Mercedes got their house in order and gave Lewis a car that can challenge for the title. And this year, they might have that. Initially, the team may not be all there, but you would have to be a fool to question this team's development department. Even if they are half a second off these two teams at the start of the year, by the end of it, they'll be right on their gearbox. Thus, Sir Lewis should have a car that will bring him back onto the winner's rostrum. As for Jorge Russell, well, he might experience the realities of a motivated Lewis, who might just have a sniff at that coveted 8th World Championship. A lot of things will have to go right though, because Ferrari are still a threat. They still have a decent car. They still have the fantastic Charles Leclerc. And the other one too, but most importantly of all, the team has been taken out of the hands of an Italian. But hey, it would be cruel to gloat over Mattia Binotto losing his job, so I won't do that. So yay, hurrah, he's gone, but that's not what I'm most excited about here. Do I need to remind you lot of what happened the last time a Frenchman was made team principal of Ferrari? Yeah, those were good times. It should be mentioned, however, that with Freddy Vasseur, they've actually now got a team principal with a spine, and that the team's previous strategist was gloriously demoted. There is no guarantee that the car will be all that great. In fact, I don't reckon their car will be as strong as it was at the start of last year. A car that gave us hope and promises and then it got Ferrari'd. A win in Bahrain might be a bit optimistic, but still, at least they now have some amount of navigation in that team. One does hope, with improved strategic calls and development that goes toward the modern day Gilles Villeneuve, that unfulfilled potential at Ferrari will once more be fulfilled. They have a lot to go up against, however. They have to go up against the might of Red Bull. Thus, they'll have to go up against the might of Max Verstappen. And yeah, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but he doesn't have to be. And we all thought Red Bull would struggle last year thanks to putting all their eggs into one basket for 2021. And we were wrong. We underestimated the talent of Max and the pencil of Adrian Newey. I'm not going to be fooled again. None of us should. Red Bull will have a fantastic package this year. They're going to be that good that, you know what? I'll call it now. Red Bull will be the 2023 Constructors' Champions. Seems ominous, doesn't it? Especially given that Max is somehow just getting faster, and I predict him to be even more lethal from a pace standpoint this year. But I don't think that third World Drivers' Championship is a done deal. My guessing is, it'll be a three-way fight for the title this year, the championship being decided in Abu Dhabi. It'll go down between Sir Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, and Max Verstappen. We'll see some momentous battles this year, in a season, hopefully, like what we saw in 2010, where we just didn't really know who will come out as the victor. Race by race, we're trying to guess which team has the upper hand. But this being a prediction video, I'll hazard a guess as to who I think will come out on top. The World Drivers' Champion of 2023 will be
Charles Leclerc is champion of the world!
Look, I know last year didn't go quite according to plan, but this year will be different. I'm sure of it. It has to be. There is madness behind my method. Or is it meant to be the other way round? In reality though, what we all want is a close championship battle. Hopefully this year, we're gonna get it. Right, other stuff. Who will be the race winners this year? Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, Checo, Russell, and Stroll. That last one sounded really freaking strange. The Formula 3 and Formula 2 champions. This year's Formula 3 championship will be close, but my money for the champion this year lays on Franco Colapinto, Argentina's best driver since Carlos Reutemann. Stupidly quick, and all that's needed is a car that can at least give him a chance for the title. This guy is an absolute gun of a driver. As for Formula 2, well, once again, the champion will be Théo Pourchaire, provided his car doesn't keep on blowing up every 2 sessions like it did last year. Or maybe it won't be him, and the curse will continue, and the champion will instead be Dennis Hauger. Well, it'll be either one of those two. So, those are my predictions, and as we're about to kick off the 2023 season, watch these things age horrifically.